Hello and welcome to day 3 of the 5-day email challenge. Today we are going to finish creating the assessment and add a link to your website if you have one. So I'll share a couple of tactics to do that, and that will be our homework for day 3. So let me share my screen and bring us to the challenge page. So this is our challenge, 5 days to attract and engage your ideal customers. We are on day 3. We looked at the strategy. You thought about your offer. You had an outline of your assessment. Yesterday on day 2, we started creating the assessment. So today we'll wrap up the assessment and we'll add it to your website if you have one. Otherwise, you can just use the link directly, and that's perfectly fine also. Okay, so let me go back to the assessment that we created yesterday. So it's the My Wheel of Life, for example. So you'll click edit on it, and you would say, for example, on this assessment, actually everything should be almost ready to go. A couple of things that I touched upon yesterday that we want to do is, if you want to modify this image, you could just choose another image that you might want to do, and select that image. Same way, if you'd like to modify the images for each of your questions, you can modify them as well. You can just click edit here, upload a new picture, and edit that. The other thing you might want to do is on the feedback texts. We touched upon this yesterday, but you definitely want to put some feedback text. So typically, since you want to spend as little time as possible and go live and then keep refining it, you don't want to get this perfect. Otherwise, perfection is the enemy of progress sometimes. So the easiest way to do that is to say, if my score is greater than 0 and 10, less than 10. So this is anybody who responds to your question, whether they get a 1, whether they get a score of 3, whether they get a score of 7, whether they get a score of 10, you're going to give them the same feedback text. And here you can say, so this is about family. The question is about family. So, and this is about how satisfied are you on the family front. So here you can give them some text, some feedback, which is applicable to someone who has low satisfaction on family as well as high satisfaction. So something which is generic, which applies to everyone. Say, the family, importance. Sometimes it can affect some people. It can affect in different ways. Here are some of the things. If you scored high on it, here is what I suggest you do. If you scored low on this score, here is what I suggest you do. Something quick, 3 or 4 sentences, 5 sentences, which gives the respondent something to do, some actionable advice. And you can obviously add links. So the text box allows you to add URLs. You can include videos in here. If you've got pre-recorded videos, you can insert videos here. But all of those things are for later. The first thing to do is to get it ready. So the strategy that I suggest is to put 0 and 10. So the minimum score and the maximum 10 for the question. A few sentences, a couple of paragraphs if you'd like, depending on how good you are at writing. Give them something. Don't make it perfect. Don't say that, okay, if they scored 3, I want to give them this feedback. If they scored 4, I want to give them this feedback. If they scored between 7 and 8, I want to give them feedback. Yes, you can do that, but I would suggest you can, if you have the time, of course, do it. But I would suggest get your assessment live first, get it out there, then you'll have the time to modify it. So you cancel, so you do that, and then do that for each of the questions. And then on the results page, the same image would show. There's one other thing that you might want to do, of course, is go back to your settings on the top here, and you go to the colors tab right here, and then you can change the colors. So the most important, the colors that you might want to change are the background of the button, because you might want them to match your website colors. So modify this button color, the text color of the button. In our case, it's blue right now. And then you can obviously modify the colors that will show up on your wheel. So modify this. If you like these, fine. But I think generally people like to use colors which match their website and their brand, if you have a website and a brand. Otherwise, you can just go with the default and save time. So that's it. And then just one other thing is on dimensions. So dimensions are groupings of questions. So right now, each of your questions is each of these: health, career, family, spirituality, etc. They are wheels on your assessment, like over here. So each of your questions is a spoke of the wheel. However, you might want to have 3 questions under career, which you want which you want your respondents to answer. And then the score that would be shown here would be an aggregation or an average of those 3 questions. So you do that using dimensions. So you create a dimension. So in that case, you would create a dimension called career. And then under your questions, you would create 3 questions, which will map to the career. So I'll show you in a second how that works. And then you can give some description of the dimension here, and you say add. So now when you go back to your questions, say this is your first question on career. So it's career question 1. And this is where you'll see your map dimension. So you'll see career pops up here. So you'll map this question to career, right? So this is how you say 3, 4, 5, even 10 questions under career, you can ask them. And you can do the same for health, you can do the same for family, or any other combination that you might want to create. You create those dimensions, you add those questions, you map those questions to those categories. And then here is how you display them. So you go down to results. And then here you would say, show on this page down here, right now it is showing questions, right? Each of the questions. Here you would say show per dimension, show this analysis per dimension, right? And you would also go back over here into settings, and you would say go to options, and then you say I want the primary chart, which is the wheel, to display scores per dimension. So when you click on this, now it'll start showing scores per dimension. Obviously, we have only one dimension here, so it may not work. But it did. Okay. So it's sort of, so it'll modify that, and it'll start showing you the dimensions instead of each question here. So those are some of the refinements you want to make. Again, like I suggested yesterday, don't try to be perfect. I mean, of course, try to be perfect, but you don't need to fit everything in over the next couple of days. Focus on getting your assessment out there, getting the thought leadership out there, start attracting customers, start engaging them, start building your funnel, and then you can keep refining all of this. And maybe you can even create a second assessment with dimensions instead of modifying this assessment. So you can say, hey, I launched an assessment which was straight. Here is another assessment which goes into more detail. And then you can create those 6, 7 dimensions and add more questions under the dimensions. And then you can launch the second assessment. So you can do some of those things. And of course, I showed you a promotion. So then you can add. So if you already have an ebook, you can add the ebook over here. So it'll show up. I'll show you how it'll show up. So download my free ebook, for example. And then you would give them some free ebook, for example. And you can obviously, give some end date if you'd like. And then this is how it shows up. You can obviously edit the image. And then here is how it shows up on your landing page. Let's refresh it. And you'll have to go down and say show promotions. So once you click on show promotions, your promotion will show up on your landing page. So this is how you can use your ebook or any other asset that you might have to incentivize people to take the assessment and give you their detailed results. So you can use your existing lead magnet in this way. So 2 funnels working together. So you've got a funnel for your ebook, use that funnel as an incentive to draw people into this funnel. So you can, link those 2 together. So that's basically what it is. And now I wanted to show you how to put it on your website. So if you see on the Evaluator website, there are 2 ways to do that. So Evaluator website. right here, there is a button which says, how well are you growing your practice? So it automatically takes you to an assessment that we created for that. So it asks you a list of questions and it says, how well are you growing your practice? The things that you need to grow your consulting practice, your coaching practice, your professional services practice. So it has these 10 or 12 questions which guide you and give you a kind of a checklist to growing your practice. So you can definitely do this. So you can definitely create a button on your website wherever you'd like to, and just put the link here. And this is the link of your assessment. Put the link here, and then you can, link this button there. Another thing you could do, which is white label the assessment on your website. So it's very simple. What you do is let's see, I think it's under how to guides. You'll have this one, how to embed your assessment on your own website. So what this does is, this means that when people click on your assessment, they will not go to this link. They will not go to app.evaluator.com and your assessment. It would appear that the assessment opens up on your own website. So this blog gives you directions on that. So you basically create a new page on your website, and this is the only line of code that needs to be on that web page. So you created an iframe, SRC, and the source of this iframe is your assessment URL, which you will get from right here. So this is your URL. So you take this URL and then you put it on that page that you created over here. Adjust the height a little bit depending on how long your assessment is, the description is, and that's it. And you save it. And then when you click this, you will see that your assessment starts opening up on your own website. It appears to open on your own website. It doesn't go to app.evaluator.com. Suppose your website is mywebsite.com. You have a button, you click on it, it goes to mywebsite.com/myassessment. So you can set it up that way, which is a nice thing to have. So yep, that's it. So that's what I wanted to tell you. And then so create the assessment. Don't worry about making it perfect or adding a lot more detail to it. Do what it takes to get the job done. Create the questions, create the images, add it to your website. And tomorrow, day 4, we're going to think about some of the promotional activities. Where do you want your profile to be updated? And how would you want to go ahead and start promoting your assessment and start attracting the audience? See you tomorrow, day 4. Bye-bye.